Every year, airplanes fall from the sky and disappear into the earth. Not in movies, not in simulations, in real life. In the United States alone, thousands of lives have been lost to aviation disasters. Each number once a heartbeat, a family, a future. Some crashes lasted seconds. Others gave passengers just enough time to realize they were not going to survive. What's terrifying isn't how rare these tragedies are. It's how normal the flights were before everything went wrong. Tonight, we're uncovering 5 of the deadliest airplane crashes connected to the United States. How they happened, how many lives were lost, and the silent mistakes that turned routine flights into mass graves. Because when an airplane crashes, it doesn't just hit the ground. It shatters every assumption we have about safety in the sky. The first tragedy begins on March 27, 1977. 2 Boeing 747s, operated by KLM and Pan American World Airways, collided on a fog-covered runway at Tenerife Airport. Although the crash occurred in Spain, Pan Am was one of America's most iconic airlines, and the disaster forever changed U.S. aviation practices. Dense fog reduced visibility to almost zero. Radio transmissions were misunderstood. A captain, highly respected and rarely challenged, began takeoff without clearance. Seconds later, the 2 largest passenger aircraft of their time slammed into each other. 583 people were killed. Investigators later concluded that unclear phraseology, authority imbalance in the cockpit, and poor ground communication were deadly contributors. From this tragedy came standardized radio language and crew resource management training, now mandatory worldwide. On May 25, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 departed Chicago O'Hare Airport. Moments after liftoff, the aircraft's left engine tore away from the wing. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10 rolled sharply and crashed into a field, killing all 271 people on board and 2 on the ground. The cause was not weather or pilot error, it was maintenance. Improper procedures had weakened the engine mount over time. When it finally failed, critical systems were destroyed instantly. This crash exposed how cost-saving shortcuts could bypass safety margins. The DC-10 fleet was grounded worldwide, and aircraft maintenance oversight in the United States was completely rewritten. On August 2, 1985, Delta Airlines Flight 191 approached Dallas-Fort Worth Airport during a summer thunderstorm. The Lockheed L-1011 flew into a microburst, an invisible column of rapidly descending air. The aircraft was forced downward, slammed into the ground short of the runway, and exploded. 137 people died. At the time, microbursts were poorly understood and rarely trained for. This disaster changed that forever. Doppler weather radar, wind shear detection systems, and new storm approach training became standard, saving countless lives in the decades that followed. On July 19, 1989, United Airlines Flight 232 suffered an uncontained engine failure over Iowa. Shrapnel from the engine destroyed all 3 hydraulic systems, something engineers believed was nearly impossible. The aircraft was effectively uncontrollable, yet the pilots refused to give up. Using engine thrust alone, they attempted an emergency landing at Sioux City. The plane broke apart on impact. 111 people were killed, but 185 survived. This crash proved the power of human skill, teamwork, and training under impossible conditions. It led to redesigned hydraulic systems and new emergency response procedures still used today. The final tragedy occurred on February 12, 2009. Colgan Air Flight 347 was approaching Buffalo, New York on a cold winter night. The aircraft stalled during descent. Instead of correcting the stall, the captain reacted incorrectly, pulling the nose up and sealing the aircraft's fate. Fatigue, inadequate training, and poor cockpit discipline were central factors. All 49 people on board and 1 person on the ground were killed. This crash shattered assumptions about regional airline safety. It led to stricter pilot qualification rules, improved training standards, and new fatigue regulations across the United States. These 5 disasters share a haunting truth. None were caused by a single catastrophic failure. They were the result of small mistakes, misunderstood warnings, flawed systems, and human limits aligning at the worst possible moment. Aviation safety today is written in lessons learned the hardest way possible. Every checklist, every alert, every training requirement exists because someone did not make it home. The sky may look peaceful, but safety is never accidental. It is earned, one tragedy at a time.